All right, guys, started without you because, quite frankly, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Still really don't. I've never seen this done, never done it, never heard anybody doing concrete this way. But I got all this free foam, so I'm going to use it as my outside form. It's kind of like an insulated concrete form, and I've got enough. I may do the inside as well, mainly because you can see I've got some areas like this. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, really, how bad that is, especially this area. But I mean, if you look, you can kind of see where it's all it fell out. It's been so long since I first dug these footings, and the reason is I started calling about concrete, and the first quote I got was $22,500. I thought, well, that seems way too high. So I got another quote, and it came back at $32,400. So decided that wasn't going to work. So what I decided to do was build up, like I said, kind of an insulated concrete form type of thing. It's kind of like a SIPS panel or something, or like an ICF block, except those are all really expensive, and I got all this foam for free. So do that and just build the footing walls for now. That way I can get started on the building. Since then, though, I think I've found a guy who's going to be able to do it for about half the price of what they said, those other guys said. But I'm going to go ahead and start building these forms. See, I've got this my water line with some redneck special baling wire and a cut-off T-post down there, and I got my power line in here as well. I don't think you guys have seen that yet. That was the other thing I was waiting on, was finding this wire. I need really big wire in here. You can see on my thumb for reference. It's big stuff. Anyway, that's run all the way to that pole over there. It's not connected to anything on that side yet. Then once I get these forms set, let's see here. See, I got the laser. So I'll get these kind of, you see I got like a spot here. I got to fix this big divot. But I've also got some glue. I'm going to glue these all together end to end. And then I'm going to add a bunch of bracing. You guys will see wooden bracing. It'll just be temporary. Of course, the foam will all stay in the ground. But I'll add a bunch of wooden supports and bracing, stiff backs to make sure this actually holds concrete. Yeah, so what was I saying? Okay, once I'll trim all these so that they're at the grade that I want them. And then I'm going to take that cutoff piece, I'll mark them all with the laser, then use my track saw, cut them all off. I have to pull them all back out of the hole one by one, cut them all, we'll set them in there, and then we'll check everything for grade, we'll brace it all. And then this piece that I'm going to cut off, you can see I've already marked this one. See my mark there, and there. There's another one over there, it's in shadow. But I'll probably rip these down again so that they're basically like 2.5 by roughly 4, and they'll all be a little bit different based on how good my flat bottom of my trench is. But I'll use those down here at the bottom, and on the bottom of the hole this way, kind of like this. I'll shove them in there periodically, and that'll keep the bottom braced out. And then I'll backfill the other side, right, with dirt. That way it's fully supported up to at least grade. And then like I said, I'll add, I think I'm going to do on the outside, I'm going to do like a L-shaped, like a T-nailer kind of thing with 2x4. And that'll give me basically like a 1.5 or 2 inch or so, like a brick ledge in the concrete. It'll be formed into the concrete. That'll allow my metal siding to just go right down into that little pocket. I'll have a little, they call it a rat guard. It's kind of a, well, you'll see eventually, but a rat guard on there. And then the metal will have somewhere to sit down to. And when I put my sheathing on, I will use what's called fin trim tape. It's a Sika product. It's designed specifically to tape to masonry for waterproofing and weatherproofing. So I'll tape directly to the concrete to my sheathing, and then have that rat guard on top of that, and then the sheathing, not sheathing, metal side steel on top of that. So okay, so I know I'm talking a lot. I've been thinking about this literally all day. So I've been up since about 7 working on this, and it's now almost 5. But yeah, you'll notice that I have not put any foam on this side yet, and I will, I think, but I want to talk to the guy that I think is going to end up doing my concrete before I do that, to figure out what the best way to form this up is. This is a porch, by the way. Oh, let me point this out too. So these are 8-foot panels, right? This is supposed to be a 50-foot long building. down here. So we got 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. You'll notice from this edge, about 2 feet. About 2 feet. Perfect. So nailed it. It's supposed to be a 50-foot long building, and by God, it is. Same thing over here. Right, 8, 16, 24, 32. And it's supposed to be a 30-foot long building. And again, right there, got about a 2-foot overlap on that one. So pretty happy with that for a guy that's never done anything like this, actually. So far, so good. It's working. So I spent a lot of time measuring before I started digging trenches, and so far looks like it's paid off. I'm pretty close. You know, if I end up within a couple inches of my final design, I'll be pretty happy. So, all right, well, back to it. I'm gonna fix that little spot there and then start marking, see if I can get as many of these marked as I can, and hopefully start cutting them up this evening. So looks like I got some shovel work to do. Yeah, there's big clumps falling in there, but so I got to clean some stuff up yet. But I'll do that kind of as I go around marking everything, getting it all sort of situated, and then hopefully just be real quick with the track saw, nip the tops off all those wherever they need to be nipped, and yeah, start getting this sort of the way it's gonna live. This ended up being sort of complicated where that water comes through, because I got my water and my power. Power goes that way, water comes up, and it was tight. But I don't know, I think it's gonna work. Anyway, I'm pretty stoked. So fire the laser back up here and mark a whole bunch of holes. See you guys in a minute. All right, so check it out. I got this first wall done. You can see it looks pretty good. Now it's still gonna have some like in out, and I'll fix that by backfilling behind there. So I'll get them all fastened together so that they're all kind of one piece. Like I said, I've got this glue right here. It's a weird spray foam glue stuff. I've never used it before, but it's specifically for this foam. It was free, but we look across the top here. Like I said, it's still got some in out, but I mean, dang, it's pretty straight. Worked pretty good. One thing I tried, which doesn't work very well, is just some blocks with nails. Of course, it's foam, so the nails don't hold very good. I actually just shoot the nails in there into the ground, and then just stick the board on there. And it kind of works. I was hoping to kind of hold them together just while I'm getting everything set up here. And then, you know, that one kind of fell out. I need a little bit longer one for that spot, but see, I've got some little foam. That one needs replaced as well. Some little foam things in there. Now, that is going to leave a little bit of a void in the concrete. That'll be foam, but I'm not worried about it. Somebody probably tell me that the whole building's going to fall down because you got these little foam blocks in your foundation. I'm not concerned. So we'll fix those, and I still got to glue the ends together. And then we'll put a, like I said, a stiff back across the outside there. And the one thing that I realized after I did all this, I forgot to count when I made all my marks for the 1.5 inch 2x that's going to cap on top of all this, you know, like so, like an L. It'll be 2 of them. And anyway, it's going to be 1.5 inches taller. I forgot to account for that whenever I set my laser and make all of my marks. So just kind of roughly, I think you can see probably, yeah, black mark on there. Looks like it's going to line up pretty good. And when I got back around, I rechecked the mark here, and it was still right on 0. So my laser with the receiver that I have, it actually goes to a resolution of a 32nd of an inch, but I've got the receiver set to a 1/16 of an inch of tolerance. So I mean, in theory, by the time I'm done, the entire top of where the concrete's going to be should be within a 1/16 of an inch if I do it all right. So do I actually think it's going to work out that well? No. But I figure if, you know, aim small, miss small, right? So yeah, so that's where I set it. And so I'm just kind of chasing that 1/16 of an inch. And so far at the first wall, I mean, I don't know, step back and look at it. I mean, it looks pretty damn level. Like Jimmy Dresta says, if it looks straight, it is straight, All right. So anyway, yeah, getting dark on me here. So I'm gonna call it a night. I think I will go ahead and put a piece of foam on the inside here. We'll see. I'll try it on this short wall. This is kind of my experiment wall, just because it's short and it's kind of the complicated one with the conduit and stuff going through it. So yeah, once I kind of get everything figured out here, then I'll go to the other side or well, I'll do these long sides, and then over here, this one is going to be different. So concrete guy, I need him to come out here and look at this, and I don't know, make sure he likes it. But I think what I'll do is basically just put the foam. See, here's like a big spot where it all fell out on me. So what I can do with that foam when I put it across here is I can backfill that. I got a huge pile of dirt, right? And so I'll backfill all that, and then I won't have to buy as much concrete is the idea. But this section's a porch. It doesn't need to be insulated. So I'll do it a little bit different, just lumber around this little outside bit, and I'll have to figure out how I'm going to tie all that together. But it should work out pretty good, since I'm going to have lumber on the outside of the foam all the way around the building, inside and not inside anymore, and maybe. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of proceed, and then we'll see if this guy works out. But hopefully it does, and then I can just get all the concrete done and not have to mess with it later. So I've got enough rebar ordered, which should be here tomorrow, to do the entire pad, the entire floor, everything. And it's 1/2 inch on a 12-inch mesh, 1/2 inch rebar, number 4 on a 12-inch grid. This, by the way, is for floor drain, and my hole ended up a little bit off of my pipe, but that's all right. I'll fix that when it comes time for it. I need to get the perimeter all done first. Then once I'm happy with all of that, then based on the actual top of grade that I end up with on my foam, my forms, then I'll set this probably a 1/2 inch low in the middle. I don't want a ton of slope, because I mean, this is going to be my main living quarters here, main living space. You know, bedroom over here, bathroom over there, and it's all the plumbing. And then, you know, kind of across there, this is all my shop space. So I don't want a huge slope on the floor, but I do want enough that it drains into the floor drain. And then that pipe just comes out here for now. And then eventually I'm going to take it out over there somewhere and dig a big pit and fill it full of clean gravel with some filter cloth around it. All that in the future. But so for now, this floor drain won't be very effective. But eventually it will be, though. And then this plumbing, what happened? This plumbing goes out this way, and it will go to a septic tank, which isn't in. Oh, that's not good. Damn. Well, that sucks. Okay. Must have broke that earlier and didn't see it. Okay, well, I gotta fix that tomorrow. Whoops. Oh, yeah, I'll just dig all that out, I guess, with a shovel. Oh, maybe I can get the excavator still at the barn. Maybe I can sneak over here with that and dig that out real quick. That sucks. I didn't see that. Okay, well, we'll fix that tomorrow. Glad I saw it now. So, whoops. Oh, well. Anyway, foam forms. That seems to be working so far. So, all right. See you guys tomorrow. All right, guys. I haven't filmed very much of this process of getting my house pad ready to actually build. But as you can see, I finally have rebar here. And obviously I got a bunch of stuff cut up. And I got that. And you can't see me. But been doing some welding. So normally the way most people tie rebar together is literally just tying it together with wires. But I was kind of fighting that earlier and thought it'd be easier. I need a bunch of these kind of trees. I got one in process here. All right, so you can see this is 13 inches. That's roughly, it's a little bit bigger than the actual footing cavity. And then I'll put another one here, but I ran out of the small one, so I'm gonna have to cut some. I've been using this Milwaukee metal cutting saw. This thing is a little 5 3/8 metal cutting saw. It's freaking awesome. I love it. So this is a, there it is. Maybe you can see that. Focus, come on. Anyway, it's a 2782-20. Little bitty metal cutting saw. I got gigantic 12 amp hour battery on it. I was gonna do a time lapse, but my camera mount died. I don't know. It's a Noga mount. I've never had any trouble with any of these, but to be fair, this one's been through the ringer. I use it quite a bit, and I fell off my truck one time. Anyway, I don't know. So anyway, that's broke, but making progress. As you can see, I got a whole pile of them trees made up, and yeah, gotta cut some more. So what I'm about to do is I've got marks on my trailer, 13 inches and 9 inches. So 9 inch for the bottom part. I can't reach it. Well, basically, this guy is going to sit down in my footing, and then these are just sort of like a shelf for the rebar to sit on. This will sit vertical, like so. So it'll have rebar that sits on that one and the one that I'm going to weld right here. Just easier to weld it, I think, for what these are. The wire, I got a bunch of wire ties made up here, but it kind of a pain. Everything still kind of moves around and it's kind of floppy. I think for what I'm doing, this is going to be easier. So I don't know. We'll find out. I'm committed. I'm making a whole bunch of them, and I got a whole bunch more pieces cut up. So anyway, I got to cut a bunch more 9 inch pieces. And oh yeah, maybe I'll explain more later tomorrow if I think about it. Took a while to get the rebar here. I was hoping to be doing this 3 days ago, but whatever. This is what it is. We're doing it now. So anyway, I'm gonna cut up some more 9 inch pieces and keep going here. But rebar is here, which means concrete's not far behind. So I'm just sitting here welding this stuff up, and this is the hood that I'm using. So I got this hood when I was, I think, 13, maybe 14 years old. It was an award in a ag welding class for being a decent welder. And I had this thing for a long time. I'm 34 years old now, so I've had this hood for almost 20 years. Still using it. It's in kind of rough shape. It's kind of broke, but hey, it still works. Still using it today. Would have never guessed when I was however old I was when I got this. I said like 14 or so. Beetle getting me. That I've been using it to weld on on rebar to put in my house. And I was thinking about it. This welder, this is one I'm using. It's old Forney cracker box. This thing, my dad found this, I imagine on Craigslist back then, but about 20 years ago. I think I was 14, maybe 15 years old when he found this thing. I paid $100 for it, I think, or maybe 200. I don't remember. But he found it. I was into welding, and he knew that, and so he found it. Seemed like a good deal. Little cracker box welder. Man, old school, but it works. Copper core, thing's awesome. But that means that I was just thinking about it. I have literally owned this welder, and I paid for it back in the day, but I have owned this welder for about 20 years. Now, I'm only 34 years old, so I don't know. That's a bit of a I don't know. 20 years that I've owned that welder, and it's from the 80s, I think. So it was old when I bought it, but man, it's still running, still welding, still working good. So I don't know, maybe my dad can correct me if I'm wrong on that time frame, but of all the things that I've owned, there is nothing that I have owned for 20 years except for that welder and maybe that hood. You know, I'm a huge tool nerd, so you might think I've got all the latest and greatest when it comes to welding stuff, because I certainly do when it comes to some of my hand tools, power tools, right? But no, roughly 20-year-old Jackson, just super basic hood, and a welder that I've owned for 20 years, roughly. That was 20 years older than I was when I bought it. So anyway, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. And then here I am welding up rebar to build a house with. So, oh, would have never saw that coming. There's a little bit better picture of what these trees look like. Like I said, rebar will sit here and here, here and here, and then be connected up at the top as well. But up at the top, that'll be the rebar that runs across the actual slab. This part is all subgrade, and that's going to be all down in the footings. So I'll try to get some better video tomorrow. But anyway, I don't know. It just struck me as sort of funny. That welder. 20 years. I've owned that thing for 20 years. It's wild. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to it here. Alright guys, it's been a long time since I filmed anything on this, a few weeks actually. You can see a lot has changed. Sorry about that wind today. So, floor drains in. I got a little detail that I need to do over here for my shower drain. I was just sitting here thinking about how I'm gonna do that. I think what I'll do is I'll hole saw out a hole in a 2x4 and set that so that the 2x4 is at the grade that I want. I'll put the concrete right up to it, and then while the concrete's still green, I'll pull that out. It's going to leave me a pocket I've got a floor drain, 2-foot long floor drain that'll sit right over that pipe there for my shower. And the 2x4 will leave me a spot there, and then I'll pour like some mastic in there to seal it off and then tile up to it. I think that's what I'm going to do. So footing wall is in all the way around. It looks wider here, but it's not. It just kind of spilled over my forms. See, I ended up using this foam as form material. I got that for free. So I built forms with it. So anyway, about a 1 foot thick wall all the way around. This wall's deeper, about 3 feet. The other 3 walls are about 2 feet. And then I've been working on this porch area. So this doesn't need to be nearly, you can see my rebar schedule here's pretty substantial. This is all 1/2-inch rebar, by the way, on a roughly 12-inch grid. The porch here does not need to be nearly that substantial, of course. It'll be about a roughly, it'll start on this side as about a 4-inch thick slab, but then it'll taper down to about 3 on this side. So this is set an inch lower than final grade over here. And then this board here, which will just get buried and encapsulated in concrete. Yes, it will rot away eventually. I'm not worried about it. It's just a porch. But that is set 4 inches below grade, so that will start the thickness, and then it'll taper down to the top of this, if that makes sense. So, or two inches. This is set 2 inches below grade, and then the porch itself will be an inch below the finished floor of the actual building, and then that's set. So that will be 4 inches to its. What am I trying to say? That board is set 5 inches below the finished floor of the building. Anyway, a little tongue-tied there. Some rebar work that I still need to finish up on the on this here. I want to tie the little uprights. You see I put in some, maybe you can see, some pieces across there to tie all those bars together, and then I want to tie them to the rest of the grid here. There's my dog. You see she's limping. I don't know if I've talked to you guys about that or not yet, but she got shot the other day. I don't remember if I told you guys that or not, but she's doing all right. So I took her to the vet, got her on some medicine. She's doing okay, but she's got a broke leg. But she gets around fine on it. She don't know she's hurt. But she is, though. She about died. She don't know how close she came. But anyway, once I get this rebar chaired up, that's kind of the last thing I got to do here. Other than obviously I got to finish up the porch stuff and the detail over there. But the last thing I'm pretty much done That won't take very long over there, but I need to get chairs. I'm going to use broken up bits of brick. I think I can get some for free. I know a guy that's got a big pile of them, I think. So I think that's going to work out. And I'll put all the bricks in here to hold the rebar cage up. And then once that's done and all this is at its final height, then I'll tie the supports for this floor drain into the rest of the cage. And I want a fair bit of rebar around that because that will be kind of a weak point. It's plastic, right? But it's supposed to be rated for 3,800 pounds per square foot on top of it. So according to the manufacturer. So anyway, that's why there's a big hole underneath of it. I got a little carried away. It's a lot more hole than what I needed. At the time, I was not planning on doing this, but I've also got foam underneath the floor here, right? Except for, again, this area where they had they had extra concrete and it kind of spilled out right there. Anyway, disregard that. But the whole rest of the floor has 2.5 inches of foam, rigid foam under it, which is kind of cool. So I like that. I wanted to do that, but it was cost prohibitive. But then I got the material for free, so I was like, yeah, screw it, we'll use it. Which of course makes my hole here even deeper, and it was already, I think, deeper than what it needed to be. But anyway, so that's going to be a ton of concrete underneath there, and I might put some more rebar in there. I don't know if I need to or not, but like I said, once I get everything chaired up and start tying it all together, and then I will put some corner braces rebar. I think probably this piece I'll probably bend into like a 90 and do kind of that chevron shape on that side, another one on this side, and then maybe even another one after that, because the corners around those inside corners are weak. That's places where you'll get worse cracking than other places. So yeah, we'll add a little bit extra rebar there so that even if it does crack, it won't open up. It'll just be a thin little crack that you might be able to see, but it won't matter at all. Old guy told me a long time ago, and I've heard a few people say it actually, that you can only guarantee 2 things about concrete. And number 1 is that it'll get hard, and number 2 is that it will crack. So ton of rebar in here to help with that, but it's still, you're going to get little, small little cracks in the concrete. It's just sort of the nature of it. Although this pad that it's built on has had plenty of time to settle, and was packed really well to start with the dozer and stuff, and so it should be pretty good. Shouldn't crack too bad, but I do expect, there will be cracks. That's why you cut relief lines in it, right? But anyway, the kind of the inside corner that I'm talking about is just around this thing, right? That particular shape in concrete will cause cracks that come out of the corners here. So I want to avoid that if I can, and I'll probably cut relief lines at a 45 away from all those anyway, so that if it does crack, it'll be in those relief cuts. Controlled cracking, right? That way it's sort of hidden. But and then of course, got a little ramp here built for the garage door. This is where my door will be. So it's a 12-foot door. It looks kind of small compared to the rest of the building. It's kind of funny actually, but yeah, it's a 12-foot door, and it will be 14 feet tall, or at least that's the plan. And yeah, so rebar in it as well, quite a bit of it. And then I am going to get some more rebar. This gap right here is kind of wide. I think I'm going to put another one in there, and then out on the edges, basically all the way around, I'm going to put some more. I've got enough to do it. So yeah, anyway, there is my future shop building as it currently sits. So I'm excited. Sorry I haven't been filming. We had the day that they came and did these footings, my phone was dying. It wasn't charging for some reason. It started again, but I think my phone's on its way out. So anyway, my phone was about dead, so I couldn't record any of that. And then the week after that, we got 8 inches of rain, and then I was sick for like almost 2 weeks now. I'm still kind of getting over it. Still kind of got some stuff in my chest, but yeah, anyway, it's I've been working on it, but it's been kind of slow going just because I didn't feel good, and of course the rain stopped me for a while, and then I had to buy more rebar, and it took like 2 weeks. It took like 2 weeks to get the first bundle of rebar, and then I ended up needing more, and so I ordered that, and it took 2 weeks to get that again. So I don't know what's going on with the lead times on rebar, but it takes forever to get. So anyway, like I said, progress has been kind of slow. But when I have been working on it, I just haven't really had time to film anything. It's really monotonous. And I was going to set up a time lapse on this, but my camera holder broke a couple weeks ago. So while I was trying to set up a time lapse, actually, and so I haven't even been able to do time lapses because I don't have a way to hold a good way to hold my phone. So I'm working on that anyway. We'll get a new thing for that one of these days. So, all right. Anyway, that's the update for today. So, I guess that's it for today. Yeah. So, well, one more thing, I guess, this dirt over here. I've been shoveling this by hand. Just thought I'd get started on it, but this area over here, see these uprights on my pins here. They're too short for my tractor to fit through, and I've been wanting to fix that for a long time. So, in order to get dirt on the back side of these forms here to fill all that in, I cut the overheads off some of my pins here, which means that I can take a big scoop of this dirt with the tractor and come dump it in the ends over here, and I can do the same over here, and then I can kind of get to this edge over here once I get some, a few scoops of that out of the way. But I can't with the tractor get all the way back over here, right? So this is just going to kind of be manual work. Of course, there's a basket case, but it's been temperamental lately. It's down on compression. It has been for a long time. Engine needs rebuilt. Probably the first thing that I'll do when I get this built is rebuild that engine. So anyway, it's just been sort of fussy lately. So the backhoe, I could have got probably all of this. The other problem is, though, I've got this big hole opened up, and that is, you can kind of see it, a 4-inch line there for we'll go to a septic tank at some point. It's not in yet, but will be before long. And so I don't want to fill that in, is I guess what I'm saying, because my pipe's right there. I don't want to have to redig it up and risk tearing it up. And anyway, if I can leave that open, I'd like to. But that's right where I would need to park the backhoe in order to effectively scoop into this. So with the backhoe, I really need to be kind of sideways so that I'm digging this way and then swinging over and dropping it. If you try to just scoop right there close to the machine, it's hard to actually get a big scoop. It just kind of pushes it under the tractor. So I need to be able to reach out here, scoop this way. Anyway, so point is, I would need to be set up right where that hole is anyway, and I can't, so because there's a hole there. And I mean, I could, but it's a pain. But anyway, as the tractor, it can only get to about here. But so that's why I'm not using the backhoe, and that's why I did all this with the shovel, because it's going to have to be done with the shovel anyway. And then I excavated a bunch of that out of the way with the shovel. So now once I get these scoops, I'll be able to pull right up here and dump it as far in here as I can. And this, like I said, will only be 4 to 3 inches thick, roughly. So, all right, anyway. I think that is it for real. No, actually, one more thing. This thing right here is my new favorite tool. I love this thing. I bought this a while ago. Not really planning on using it for this. Oh, they're just falling out. Bought this refurbished on Acme Tool, and it's awesome. This is a metal cutting circular saw. This thing is sweet. It's got that Diablo Steel Demon blade on it. 2 blades have done all of this rebar. Hundreds of cuts. You can't see it, but well, here you can see part of it over here. All these walls, of course, they have rebar in it. So there's down at the bottom, about 3 inches off the ground, or 3 inches at the bottom of the trench, there's 4 pieces of number 4 rebar. Then I built these little trees like this, right? And so about every 3 feet around the entire building, you can see there's, these pieces are roughly, well, these ones are taller. They're about 4 feet tall. No, not 4. They're like, I forget, they're like 39 inches or something like that. But anyway, or 42. I think I put those at 42. But anyway, all those pieces and all of these little crossbars, there's 3 rows of 2 on this side, and the rest of it has 2 rows of 2. So I've cut literally hundreds of cuts just in those. And then, of course, right here, there's a 10-foot piece and then a 20-foot piece. It's a 30-foot wide building, right? And so, and then the same on the ends here. This is long ways. It's 2 20-foot pieces and then a 10-foot piece, right? 50-foot building. 50 foot long this way. So, and on every foot, right? So there's 30 10-footers across there, so that's 30 cuts, and then 50 across this way. So that's 80 cuts just on the main floor here, plus like all of these pieces, those 8-foot pieces, the 12-foot pieces, those 12 4-foot pieces, and the hundreds of cuts that I made all in here. Anyway, 2 blades on this thing, and it's just awesome. So fast, so easy, it's great. Anyway, this thing, super handy, highly recommend it. Coolest little saw I've ever used. Love this thing, it's so handy, lightweight, which is not normal for Milwaukee. Normally they're known for being really good tools, but on the heavier side. But that thing's awesome. Anyway, all right, now I'm done. We'll see you guys later, I guess, when I get my chairs, get this finished up, and then we'll be back for concrete, hopefully soon, next weekend maybe. So we will see you then. Oh, one other thing while I'm here, they're all covered in concrete right now, but these are not rebars. You can see these are copper plated ground rods, and they are tied to the rebar, so it's tied to the entire rest of the cage, and that's a oofer ground for my service panel. It's right here. So I don't know that it's necessary to have 2 of them, but I'll tie those together and then up into the ground on my my main panel, which will be right here. So front door will be about here. That's the last thing also I do need to do, is I want to frame up a little like landing, and then I got to figure out, I'm not sure what the best way to frame for the door is right there, but I think I need to do something there. Anyway, I'll ask my concrete guy, get his opinion on how to frame that out, so I'm waiting on that. But anyway, so it was right when you walked in the door, the panel disconnect, everything will be right here, which I think will be nice. But anyway, oofer ground tied to the rebar. Yeah, that's where it is, in case anybody's wondering. Something else thought I'd just point out real quick, because somebody's going to notice, is that all of my sewer lines here, it's all just drain, waste, and vent, including that over there, which that's not actually tied into the septic tank. That's going to go to a gravel well out here. But regardless, it's all Schedule 40. I didn't use drain, waste, and vent pipe, right? Which is, it's a thinner wall pipe specifically made for non-pressurized, vented, like sanitary sewer systems, right? Which is what this is. The reason for that is that I have a cousin he's up north at the moment, but he's a plumber. It's what he does, and I didn't talk to him specifically on this project, but I helped my little sister and brother-in-law with a project up in Kansas City, a plumbing project, redoing some plumbing in their basement. And they talked to him, and he recommended using Schedule 40 for all of that plumbing, and just not even messing with drain, waste, and vent. So anyway, I just took his advice to them on their project, on my project here. So I don't know exactly like what his thinking or rationale is, but he's a professional plumber. He actually is an expert. So just thought I'd point that out. There's a lot of put stuff on the internet. There's a lot of sort of keyboard experts out there that will tell you stuff. And I don't mean to sound too snide, because I'm certainly not an expert. I'm not a plumber. My cousin is, though, and that was his advice. But some of the people that watch these videos might actually be plumbers, and maybe they'll know why he thought that, and maybe they'll tell me that I wasted money, because this is more expensive than drain, waste, vent pipe. So I don't know, but anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. That's why I did that, based on the advice of my cousin, who is actually an expert in the matter. It's what he does for a living. So that's why Schedule 40 on there.